The warning came wrapped in exhaustion, not anger. It lived in the way the door creaked open to a half-lit apartment that smelled of burnt coffee and old rain, in the silence that followed as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. Everyone before me had left quietly or loudly, broken or bitter, but always gone. I stepped into a life that had already decided I would fail, into a space shaped by disappointment, grief, and a woman who had learned to survive by expecting nothing from anyone. I did not know then that this would become the longest week of my life, or that staying would cost me comfort, pride, and sleep, or that leaving would cost me something far greater. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, in the quiet power of choosing to stay when walking away is easier, take a moment right now to like this video, comment, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel The Kindness Chronicles. Your support keeps stories like this alive. The job was supposed to be temporary. Live-in assistant, caretaker, house manager, whatever label made it sound professional enough to justify the low pay and the warning signs. She was known for firing people fast. Too slow, too loud, too curious, too human. The apartment reflected that reputation. Everything had its place, but nothing felt warm. Shoes aligned with military precision by the door. Dishes washed immediately and stacked without a single drop of water left behind. Curtains always half closed, as if the world outside was something to be tolerated only in controlled doses. I was given rules on the first night, not spoken as commands but delivered like facts of gravity. Wake up early. Touch nothing without permission. Ask no personal questions. Do not confuse the job with belonging. The first challenge was the silence. Not the peaceful kind, but the heavy, watchful kind that makes every movement feel like a mistake waiting to happen. She moved through her own home like a guest who had overstayed. Always tired, always braced, shoulders tight with a history I could feel but not name. She worked long hours and came home carrying the weight of a life that had demanded strength for far too long without offering relief. I learned quickly that the week would not test my skills but my patience, my restraint, my ability to care without being invited. By the second day, the routine settled into something rigid and unforgiving. I cleaned, cooked, organized, and stayed invisible. She inspected everything without comment. No praise, no complaint, which somehow felt worse. At night, I lay awake on the narrow bed in the spare room, listening to the building hum and wondering how many people had slept there before me, counting down the days until they could leave with their dignity intact. Doubt crept in quietly. Maybe she was right. Maybe no one lasted because no one was meant to. The third day tested me in a different way. A small mistake, barely noticeable, but enough to shift the air in the room. A mug placed on the wrong shelf. A pause too long before answering a question about the grocery list. Her disappointment was never loud. It arrived as withdrawal, as distance, as the closing of an invisible door. That night, I almost packed. I told myself that staying did not make me noble, that knowing when to walk away was also a kind of strength. But something held me there, something stubborn and unreasonable, a belief that the problem was not the house or the rules, but the loneliness underneath them. By midweek, the cracks began to show. Not in the apartment, but in her. Exhaustion that sleep never fixed. Hands that trembled slightly when she thought no one was watching. A habit of sitting in the dark long after dinner, staring at nothing, as if memories were playing on a screen only she could see. I realized then that this was not a woman who wanted control, but one who feared chaos because chaos had once taken everything from her. People leave, promises break, kindness comes with conditions. She had learned all of that the hard way. The turning point came without drama. A power outage in the middle of a storm, the city swallowed by darkness and rain. The apartment felt smaller, closer, the silence louder than ever. Without electricity, the rules lost their shape. There was nothing to inspect, nothing to correct. Just two people sharing a space that suddenly demanded cooperation. I lit candles, cooked a simple meal on a gas stove, and left it on the table without asking if it was acceptable. Not defiance, just necessity. She ate quietly, and for the first time, did not retreat immediately after. In that dim light, something softened. Not trust, not yet, but curiosity. The kind that peeks out when defenses are tired. She stayed at the table longer than usual. The storm outside matched the one she had carried inside for years, and in that shared vulnerability, the week stopped being a countdown and started becoming something else. I did not ask questions. I did not offer advice. I simply stayed present, the way people rarely do when things get uncomfortable. The days that followed were still hard. Healing does not arrive on schedule, and trust does not bloom just because someone wants it to. There were setbacks, moments when old habits snapped back into place, when she pulled away and reminded me, indirectly, that I was still an employee, still temporary. But there were also small changes. A thank you left unspoken but felt. A task done together instead of alone. A laugh that surprised us both, brief and almost shy, like it had forgotten how to exist. By the end of the week, the apartment felt different. Not warmer, exactly, but less hostile. Lived in. The rules were still there, but they bent when they needed to. And when the seventh day arrived, there was no dramatic confrontation, no test or ultimatum. Just a quiet understanding that something important had happened, something neither of us could easily name. I had not lasted by being perfect. I had lasted by being consistent, by choosing empathy over pride, patience over escape. What she did not know was that staying had changed me too. I had arrived thinking I was offering help, but I learned that real kindness is not about fixing someone or proving your worth. It is about showing up again and again, even when you are not thanked, even when the outcome is uncertain. It is about believing that people are more than the armor they wear to survive. In the weeks that followed, the job continued, but the relationship transformed. The apartment slowly filled with signs of life. Plants by the window. Music playing softly in the evenings. The curtains opening a little more each day. She began to rest, really rest, in a way she had not allowed herself to in years. And I understood then that the warning she gave me was never a challenge. It was a confession. She was not saying no one could last. She was saying no one ever had. If this story has touched your heart, if it reminded you of someone you gave up on too soon or someone who stayed when you expected them to leave, please take a moment to like this video, share it, and subscribe to the Kindness Chronicles. Your engagement helps these stories reach others who need them. Before you go, I have one special request. Comment below with a single line about a time when kindness changed something in your life, or when staying made all the difference. Your words might be exactly what someone else needs to read today.